Rebellions, revolution, betrayals. Our people, Colonel, are becoming more of a problem than our enemies. Well, there's a mission for you. Make our people love us or die. These papers will instruct you to crush one of our own towns into submission. Put down a faction of our own military that threatens us with biological warfare. To assassinate the spies in our midst. To annihilate an entire province. Men, women, and children who contest our Soviet might. They say, don't tell us what to do. So we must kill them. This time, comrade, we drink.
Welcome back, Commander. It doesn't seem like Topolov's too into the whole destroy the province thing. But maybe I'm just reading it wrong. I think this mission, of most of them anyways, is probably one of the most memorable ones for me. And we'll get to see why rather quickly, which is nice. The briefing actually details quite a bit for us to do, so try to, conserve what you can. For a couple reasons. The first is that, well, we have to take over a base that happens to have a chronosphere. And the only way to really do that is to poison the water. Sadly, I played this like 2 or 3 times, so I decided I'd just speed this up. Now, you could take the, I guess, easy road and just, beeline for these power plants and capture the Chronosphere as soon as possible. But honestly, there's a couple things in the base that's at least worth, keeping for a little bit. What's also interesting is that we're given access to the thief. And, hey, look at that, some silos. The tanks, as far as I know, never come online. I don't think there's a trigger to activate them. Just assume that they never do anything. The only reason I take out these silos is just to give myself space to infiltrate more thieves. And secondly, it looks better in my mind, like, if I capture a silo that looks like it has more money in it. Because, for some reason, I feel like the thief, like, in my head, the thief steals half of what's in the silo and not half of the player's money type idea. In any case, it's one of those things, just like a quirk of personality that I have. Once you manage to take over the Chronosphere, you're tasked with teleporting an MCV from one side of a river to the next. There's absolutely no reason to deploy your MCV here because, well, there's nowhere to build, or no ore to gain, I should say. I guess technically there's nowhere to build. I mean, there's plenty of space, but it wouldn't really accomplish much because you can't actually go from one side of the river to the next. Other than, I guess, by submarine, like build a subpen, transport, blah blah blah, but honestly, if you're going through the trouble of that, you might as well just restart. I guess it should be pointed out that there is, under no circumstance, any risk of your own units dying from the water in the river. We've already seen that I can build units from the barracks, but even if you just got close to the river, it still doesn't affect you in any way, shape, or form. And seeing as the AI actually sends units to this area, you could theoretically lose the Chronosphere. At the same time, though, you can actually save it, keep it forever, and just continue using its effects. Sadly, though, there's not much of a reason to keep the Chronosphere. As always, it is powerful in the sense that it can transport one unit from one location to the next in an instant, but it's always just one unit. And I don't recall being able to actually rebuild another MCV. So there's just no real benefit. Interestingly, this is actually one of the only times that I could ever show off the fact that the Chronosphere actually has a time limit to it. I don't recall if it actually happened in the last mission of the Allied campaign. It's just been so long since I recorded that. You know, I've never really thought about how a Chronosphere would affect the pathing for a ore truck. Because if you're collecting ore and it returns it to its original position, I wonder just how much that screws with the AI. This is another problem of just there's a lot of resources on the map, but it just kind of the placement of it just makes it hard to get to. The fact that there's one bridge to a rather large field, as well as gems, but it's already damaged, so you're kind of always risking it. And I forgot to build more power because, of course. If you're smarter than I am, you'd build a couple defensive structures near the Chronosphere, or like complete the wall, or do anything really. I don't believe the AI would actually destroy most, if any, of the wall just because it's allied to them. And apparently I depowered the allied base. I really wasn't expecting it. For whatever reason, the AI just doesn't want to repair its advanced power plant. There's also one other problem with capturing the Chronosphere and basically the initial base and not reinforcing it or otherwise just losing it. And that's the fact that, well, we have to kill everything on the map. And as we've seen time and time again, sadly, the just the lack of a two hunt trigger type. So as you might imagine, at some point we're gonna have to go back to the island and do something about the stragglers there. And there's another problem with the tanks, well, technically just the bridge. It's really in an awkward side.
Construction complete. Building. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Yes, sir. Awaiting orders.
God bless those engineers.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Awaiting orders.
I have to say, this is actually on top of the lovely start. I love the whole trigger of poisoning a water supply. It's nice to see a return of helicopters. They really don't show up as often as you might think. Which is really weird because, again, the Apache longbow is like a staple of the Allied side.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Reporting. Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative.
For whatever reason, I had it in my head that 4 MiGs would be enough for a power plant, but it appears I was wrong.
Affirmative.
As you might imagine, this is the basic progression that I'm going to be doing for this map. Granted, knocking out power isn't as vital as, say, against a Soviet base. It's still something I try to aim for, just because, well, I'll never bother to investigate if, like, actually know how much the AI cheats when it comes to building speed. So I just assume that by destroying power, it'll not be able to produce nearly as fast as it normally or abnormally should.
Very well. Reporting. Acknowledge. Yes, sir. Acknowledge.
Construction complete.
Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Reporting. Vehicle reporting. Vehicle report. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Reporting. Yes, sir. At once. At once. Affirmative. Reporting. Acknowledge. Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Reporting. Affirmative.
Cannot deploy here. Cannot deploy.
Vehicle reporting. Acknowledge. Vehicle reporting. Ready and waiting. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Ready at once. Very well. Affirmative.
I guess the other benefit, too, that doesn't come up all too often, just because of the nature of the maps involved. But taking out power to gap generators is always nice.
Yes, sir. Acknowledge.
Spy plane.
Awaiting. Acknowledge.
Selected target.
Especially when you get to, the end of the level and next thing you can't see a unit somewhere because it's just got fog of war.
Report. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Waiting orders. Report. Acknowledge. Waiting orders. Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Affirmative.
Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Reporting. Agree. At one. Affirmative.
I had a previous run of this that was going pretty well, all things considered. However, I destroyed the tech center because I'm kind of a dummy that way.
Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Acknowledge.
I guess technically it's more of an intel center than tech center, since that's an actual building.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, it really seems that if you ever do go with MiGs as like a strategy, the getting 5 seems to be the magic number. You want to kill a power plant, do a lot of damage to a construction yard, eliminate a destroyer in one shot. You have to get a nice group of 5. So as one might imagine, once you've I've taken out all the production, I've taken out all the resource collection. There's nothing left to do other than clearing the map, of course. I figure I might as well try to get something productive. So I build a ton of war factories and barracks just so I can build a subpen. I figure if I need a chain of some buildings, might as well get something that'll, help me out in terms of production later on. And if you notice that there's a small group north of the Chronosphere's last position, yeah, that's kind of why I say it's it's why I don't think the AI actually knows to go through its own wall, and subsequently why it's so very, very annoying that that exists. And go figure, I'm hunting again. There's a village in the bottom left, but other than dropping paratroopers, you can't go there. And obviously, there's always that turret.
Silos needed. Mission accomplished.